Good morning, good evening, or whatever time it is where your AI assistant has scheduled this for you. Welcome to your daily 10-minute AI rundown. I'm Jason Hood. And strap in because today, July 17th, might be the single biggest day on the 2026 AI calendar. Google's most anticipated model in years is expected to launch. The president of China is personally opening the world's largest AI conference. And a Chinese lab just dropped a 2.8 trillion parameter model. That's trillion with a T, as in, that's a lot. Also, OpenAI wants to sell you a $230 keypad because apparently the future of artificial intelligence is a knob. Let's get into it. Our top story today is Gemini Day. Google's Gemini 3.5 Pro has been targeting July 17th. That's today after one of the most dramatic development sagas we've seen from a frontier lab. Here's what happened. Google reportedly scrapped the entire original base model and restarted pre-training after engineers found structural failures in recursive tool calling, which in corporate terms is like building a house, realizing the foundation is made of biscuits and starting again 6 weeks late. And in AI time, 6 weeks is roughly a geological era. GPT 5.6 launched a week ago, Grok 4.59 days ago. Google is arriving at the party after everyone's already fighting over the last sausage roll. The leaked specs, though, and I stress leaked, Google has confirmed none of this are serious. A 2 million token context window, a new deep think reasoning layer on the $250 a month ultra tier, and API pricing around $1.25 in, $10 out per million tokens. Here's why this matters. Google can't just match the field. Grok 4.5 already reset the value floor at $2 and $6. Gemini 3.5 Pro has to beat GPT 5.6 Sol on at least one headline benchmark, or the story becomes Google spent 6 extra weeks to finish fourth. No pressure, lads. And if the launch slips again, well, Google has reportedly got a stopgap Gemini 3.6 Flash waiting in the wings, which is a bit like your mate saying, I can't pay you back, but here's a voucher. We'll know within hours. But that's only half of today's story because the other half is happening in Shanghai. Let's take a look at the other side of the planet. The 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference opens in Shanghai today, running through July 20th. And for the first time since the event began in 2018, President Xi Jinping is attending in person and delivering the keynote. The scale is absurd. More than 1,100 exhibitors, 140 plus forums, and over 300 products making their global debut. 300 launches in 4 days. Somewhere in Shanghai right now, there's a product manager rehearsing a demo and quietly weeping. Here's why this matters. When a head of state personally opens an AI conference, that's not a tech event anymore, that's statecraft. China is pushing its own global AI governance body, and Xi showing up in person signals that Beijing now sees AI the way it sees energy or semiconductors, as national strategy. And the timing is not lost on anyone. The West's most anticipated model launching the same day the East's most powerful leader takes the AI governance stage. 1 calendar square, 2 superpowers, 1 very confused news cycle. That's not a coincidence. That's 2026. Now this one is fascinating. Yesterday, Chinese lab Moonshot AI announced Kimi K3, a 2.8 trillion parameter mixture of experts model, billed as the world's first open 3 trillion class release, with a 1 million token context window and native vision. The self-reported benchmarks are genuinely eye-watering. 93.5% on GPQA. Diamond the strongest open weight result ever published on that benchmark, and 91.2% on Browse Comp, the best published agentic browsing score, full stop. Now, Self-reported benchmarks is doing some heavy lifting there. That's like your resume saying you're great under pressure. Sure, mate. We'll see at the group project. By their own numbers, K3 beats Claude Opus 4.8 and GPT 5.5, while still trailing Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Sol. So not the crown, but knocking loudly on the throne room door. And the kicker? Moonshot says the full open weights drop by July 27th. 10 days from now, anyone can download a near frontier model for free. Here's the business implication. If you're paying frontier prices for non-frontier tasks, models like K3 at $3 in, $15 out with cashed input at 30 cents are about to make your CFO ask some very pointed questions. But that's not all from China this week. Apple Intelligence has officially been registered with the Cyberspace Administration of China, the regulatory green light Apple needed to bring its AI to mainland China. And here's the twist. It'll be powered by Alibaba's Qwen models, with Baidu contributing extra features. Let that sink in. The most valuable company on earth cannot run its own AI in China, so it's renting Alibaba's. Apple spent 2 decades telling us it just works. In China, it just works on someone else's model. Why it matters? This is the clearest sign yet that the AI world is splitting into 2 stacks, one Western, one Chinese, with a hard regulatory border between them. Market access, not model quality, is becoming the thing that decides who wins which country. No launch date announced yet, but the direction is set. And Alibaba just got the greatest product endorsement in tech, powering the iPhone. Meanwhile, in the smaller is beautiful department, startup Prism ML released Bonsai 27B, a 27 billion parameter model, compressed down to 3.9 gigabytes that runs locally on an iPhone 17 Pro at 11 tokens per second. Free, Apache 2.0, and people are calling it a DeepSeek moment for on-device AI. Using 1-bit compression, it keeps over 90% of full precision performance, which raises the obvious question. What was the other 90% of the file size doing? Looks confused. Was it just vibes? Here's why this matters. On-device means no cloud, no per token bill, no data leaving your phone. Privacy by default and free at the margin. The Frontier Labs charge $30 per million output tokens for their flagships. This charges you nothing because it's running on the phone you already own. The honest caveat, 11 tokens per second is patient friend speed, not Frontier Assistant speed. But most everyday AI jobs, summaries, drafts, classification, don't need a data center. And that should worry anyone whose business model is metering tokens. In other AI news, 2 OpenAI stories, wildly different sizes. First, the small one literally. OpenAI with hardware maker Work Louder launched Codex Micro, a $230 desktop keypad for its Codex coding agent. Backlit keys, a rotary knob, and a tiny joystick. A joystick for programming. We finally answered the question nobody asked. What if your AI pair programmer was also a Nintendo 64? Silly gadget, real signal. OpenAI is practicing making hardware. From the Jony Ive acquisition to this, they're building the muscles to ship physical products. Today a keypad, tomorrow something your lawyers at Apple will want to discuss. And the big one, OpenAI has floated, giving the US government a 5% equity stake worth roughly $42.6 billion at its $852 billion valuation as part of an Alaska-style public wealth fund where leading AI firms route 5% of equity to the public. An AI company voluntarily offering the government a piece of the action. That's either genuine civic vision or the most expensive Please be nice to us during the IPO gift basket in history. Possibly both. Meanwhile, the robots are having a big week. Hyundai announced it's moving to make Boston Dynamics a wholly owned subsidiary, buying out SoftBank's roughly 10% stake, doubling down on the humanoid robot future. The very same week, Hyundai auto workers launched a partial strike over wages, AI deployment, and for the first time in a major labor action, humanoid robots on the factory floor, named explicitly as a grievance. So to recap Hyundai's week, bought more robot company, lost more human workers. Somewhere, an MBA is calling that synergy. Jokes aside, this is the story of the decade arriving early. Automation genuinely raises productivity and genuinely displaces workers. And both things are true at once. South Korea wants humanoids to go from 1% to 20% of its market by 2028. How this strike resolves retraining, profit sharing, or conflict becomes the template every industrial economy watches. But that's not all. Microsoft is reportedly training its salespeople to talk down OpenAI and Anthropic and push its in-house models instead. Nothing says healthy partnership, like coaching your staff to badmouth the company you've invested $13 billion in. Couples counseling is cheaper, guys. xAI open-sourced its Grok build coding tool right after the community discovered it had been quietly uploading users' entire code repositories to a Google Cloud bucket. The apology tour is Apache 2.0 licensed. The Future of Life Institute released its 2026 AI Safety Index. Top of the class, Anthropic. With a C+. The best safety grade in the entire industry is a C+. If AI safety were a uni course, the whole cohort would be on academic probation. NVIDIA unveiled new Jetson Thor computers to push mainstream robotics and edge AI, pocket-sized supercomputers for the robot workforce we just discussed. And the money keeps flowing. Humanoid startup. Xeroth raised $73.6 million, led by Ant Group. Spectro Cloud hit unicorn status with a $100 million round. Hemispheric raised $52 million for AI that reads brain activity, and TikTok Shop's AI-generated creators are helping drive it toward $23.4 billion in US sales. That's right. The influencer recommending your air fryer may not technically exist. She's still doing better numbers than all of us. And finally, a thought to leave you with. This morning, a model that fits on your phone, a model with 2.8 trillion parameters, a keypad with a joystick, and a head of state opening an AI summit, all shared one news cycle. AI in 2026 isn't one story anymore. It's the economy, it's geopolitics, it's labor policy, and occasionally it's a $230 knob. That's your daily 10-minute AI rundown. If Gemini 3.5 Pro drops in the next few hours, you already know I'll be back with the numbers. Follow so you don't miss it. Share this with the one colleague who still thinks AI is a fad. I'm Jason Hood, and I'll see you in the next one.